Which section would you say was the hardest and which one was the easiest for you?
I would say business law was the hardest, absolute hardest. And I know I can speak for a lot of my friends. They also had a hard time with it too.
Do you know if it's possible to run a plumbing business without being a master plumber?
Yes and no. In order to have a plumbing business, there needs to be a master plumber attached to it. You technically can, but you need what's called a Bonafide representative.
Welcome everyone. Today we have a very special guest. He recently became a master plumber in New Jersey. I would like to discuss with him the process of becoming a master plumber. Welcome, Kyle. Thank you so much for taking the time. Can you please introduce yourself really quick and tell us how long have you been in the plumbing business and what made you choose it in the first place?
So, hello, I'm Kyle. I'm a New Jersey master plumber. I'm 36 years old. What got me into plumbing? Well, it's funny because when I was a kid, I used to go into my laundry room. That's where the boiler was. And I
Okay.
used to just gaze at the pipes. Like, they just mesmerized me, honestly. And I would just look, and I'm like, wow, like, I want to understand that one day. And so I went to high school, regular high school. I didn't go to a tech school or anything then. I was always hands-on and, like, very mechanical. So grew up riding bikes. So I was always, torquing on nuts and bolts and stuff like that. So once I got out of high school, I actually got into the tree business. So I was doing tree work, and then in the winter time, I was doing like part-time plumbing. So I would call myself a plumber jack.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you started even at high school level. You started with the plumbing.
yeah, like 2 years after high school,
Okay.
because I got into the tree service. So I was, doing tree work, and then I started getting more interested in the trades. So focused on plumbing. My uncle knew a guy, so I would work with him when we were slow in the winter doing the tree work. So that's how I kind of got my foot in the door and, started learning some things. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
So how many years would you say you have experience so far in the plumbing trade?
So, like I just said, when I got my foot in the door, I was about like 19 years old. So, about like 16 or 17 years. Yeah,
That's a lot. And you recently became a master plumber, correct?
correct. Yeah, in 25. I
Okay.
got my number on January 31st of 25.
Can you walk us through the path of becoming a master plumber in New Jersey from
Yeah,
s- from starting out to getting licensed? If you can go like step by step, it will be really helpful from what you remember.
sure. Yeah, just to break it down simply, 4 years of school is required. So you have apprenticeship year 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to complete that. And then you also need a total of 5 years experience.
Okay,
So,
so the 5 years experience is on top of the 4 year school?
so you can do that all at the same time. So the school for us at least, it was 2 nights a week. It was like either Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays and Wednesdays. It changed every year. From 6 to 9 p.m. So for me and a lot of colleagues that went through the same thing, we were working full time anyway. So right about at this time now, 6 o'clock, we'd be getting out of work and going right into the classroom. So from there, it was 3 hours, so like 6 hours a week total. You go through that. You really just at the time needed a certain amount of hours. I've learned since, because I have two apprentices under me right now who I'm training on the job. They actually are doing like a grading system now, which I think
Okay.
is great. Because when I went, it was pretty much okay, sit in the classroom and then, you know, make what you will of it, whether you want to really get involved or sit there on your, phone or sleep, do what you will with it. You still get the hours.
So did you work as an apprentice during those like 4 years, or were you like a journeyman? Or are there different levels?
So Yeah, there are different levels. So when you're first starting out, you're an apprentice. So you're just, obviously learning the trade, the tools, the fittings, because there's a lot to
Yes.
know. There's a lot. So, you start working, you start learning that stuff. Say day one, you start work and you start school at the same time. Great. From there, you go through your 4 years of school as you're
Yep.
working and learning everything. Once you get those 4 years done, that's when you move up to become a journeyman.
Okay.
So your journeyman year begins at the completion of your 4th year of school.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And and how long do you need to be a journeyman to be eligible to become a master plumber? Like how many years?
That's a great question. It's 1 year.
1 year.
So that's how you get to the total of five, because you have your 4 years of school, just like a university, if you will,
Yeah.
and then you have your 1 year of journeyman. So that's kind of like your break period until you're eligible to take the test.
Yeah. I mean, 5 years is it's a long time. It's like people think plumbing it's easy, but this is like more than college degree, 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a long time. I mean, it's not like 1 or 2 years for some other different trades.
A lot of people don't realize that too. Like, it's not like I'm not going to discredit anything else, but it's not like some accelerated course that you take for a year and, all of a sudden you have a certification.
Okay.
It takes a lot of dedication and hard work.
Yeah, so you get your experience, you get your degree, and then what about the exam? I guess the exam is the next step. How many different sections are there for the exam? Like, do you remember like how long is the exam? Can you give us more details about the examination process?
Yeah, so the exam process, so you have three parts, three separate parts of the test. The great thing is once you pass it, you don't have to retake it. So like say pass one section and fail the other two, um, once you go back to take it, you don't have to retake the section that you already passed. So that's, a little reassuring. But section one is practical, so it's all multiple choice, and it's just basic plumbing knowledge, stuff that we should know as plumbers.
Yes.
And I will say a lot of the questions are designed to throw you off because a lot of them are correct. Like the way I was taught in school was my teacher would say you have to choose the most correct answer because sometimes they'll give you two correct answers to a question, but one's more correct towards the question they're asking. So it can get really, really tricky with trying to figure that kind of stuff out.
And what are the other two sections? You mentioned there are three sections. So the first one was the practical section.
Yeah, so the first one is practical, which is the multiple choice. I believe I want to say there was 50 of those questions. And they're all timed too.
This first section, how long was it? As far as the length, like was it like an hour, 2 hours?
I don't remember exactly, but I would say probably like an hour and a half or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say probably about an hour and a half.
And this is just for the first section. You have two more sections.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Okay.
long day. Like when you go
Wow.
in, yeah, and they like when you go in to take the test, they're like patting you down. You have to take everything off, no phone, everything goes in a locker, and then you go into this testing center and you're in like a little cubicle being videotaped, while you're already nervous about taking this test. So, yeah. Like you have to go to the bathroom, you run down to the bathroom, you come back, you have to like pull your sleeves up. You got to pull your leg sleeves up to show that you're like not smuggling cheat
Yeah.
sheets or something.
Yeah, they're checking everything. Is it the
Yeah.
PSI?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, it's
PSI is
PSI.
doing the test.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah,
So
they're very strict.
yeah, they are. Yeah. I felt like I was in trouble when I was sitting in there. I'm like, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's a long time. So what about the other two sections? Which are
So
the sections?
number two, that's your isometric. That's basically like your line drawings. So like riser diagrams, stuff like that. In my particular case, there was a lot on roof drains for like commercial buildings and stuff like that. Like there was a ton of sizing for roof drains and stuff like that, where they would give you a chart and then they would just give you a picture and then they're like, okay, here, label it. And so you would have to, size it based off of the chart, rainfall per minute and the square footage. It's a lot of math. When you if you can't do math, you're gonna have a hard time with plumbing.
Yeah, is this considered the business section or the business section is separate?
No, so that's the business section is separate.
Separate than this. Okay.
Yeah.
And the business section, I'm assuming, was the third section.
Law
Okay.
is the third section.
So from all three sections, I know for everybody is different, but for you in particular, which section would you say was the hardest and which one was the easiest for you?
I would say business law was the hardest. Absolute hardest. And I know I can speak for a lot of my friends. They also had a hard time with it too. It seems like everybody has trouble with that section, unless they've been like a business owner, for 10 years prior doing something else. Um, yeah, it's a little different than plumbing because it's literally just all, business laws. It's a lot of lawyer terminology, if you
Yeah.
will. Um, you know,
Okay.
stuff that you're not really used to.
And what was the easiest? The practical, maybe?
I would say the practical, yeah, because if you're doing it long enough, it's pretty much common sense.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
you have a 25% chance of getting it. So because it's multiple choice. So
Okay. And tell me if this is true, but I think I've heard it's like 70% you need to pass. Is it
that's
70%?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you need a 70 to pass.
Okay. And was it an open book exam? Were you allowed to use books or it's a
Yes.
closed book?
Yeah, it's open book. Yeah. For everything. So you're allowed to have your code book in there, and they do give you a couple printouts of some charts, excuse me, that are useful. And then you also get a scratch sheet, which is just a blank piece of paper and a pencil. So, you could do notes, math, whatever.
So yeah, basically, if you know where to look quick, you can find it if you're familiar with the books.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing is navigating the book and navigating it quickly. Because not everybody's gonna have a photographic memory and just be able to remember everything they read. So if you just know where to look, you open up the code book, okay, that's gonna be under this, and you go there and you go through and you're like, oh, there it is. So that's how we were kind of trained all through school was navigating the code book quickly. And if you're competitive, you always wanted to be the first one to find the answer. So it was always, a little bit of a rush to do it.
Yeah. So was the 4 years of school enough as far as the preparation for you, or you have to do a separate preparation just for the exam?
A separate third party preparation is definitely necessary.
Okay.
Absolutely necessary. Yeah.
So yeah, for somebody who is trying to become a master plumber and they're ready to take the exam, they've done the school, they have their experience, and they have decided to become a master plumber, what would you recommend as far as the preparation?
So Preparation for me, was a big one that I didn't even know about, but I had to make a profile on the state's website. There's like this portal. I had to make a profile there and then upload a lot of supporting documents. I mean, they want like a passport photo, they want certain years of work experience that's signed off, they want W-2s, just to name a few things.
I see. And you mentioned the work experience. One question we get a lot is like, the work experience, do you need to have it like certified or signed by the supervisor?
Yes, you do. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and for that reason, that actually delayed my process a little bit throughout my journey. So, yeah, that is
Yes.
absolutely necessary.
Yeah, so it has to be a legit experience because I had some questions where somebody they work on their own business, I guess, somehow, and they were asking if this will be experience that they can count, but obviously you didn't have a supervisor, so I don't
Right.
think that this will count.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a big time like mentorship type of thing.
Okay, what about the cost? Do you remember roughly how much does it cost to become a master plumber? I know it's a long process, but from the beginning to the end, just a rough idea, somebody watching.
Yeah, so I I finished school a while ago. I mean, I guess technically graduated, 13 years ago. So I had all this done a while ago.
Yeah,
Um, but at the time it was roughly around like $2,000 per year.
okay.
So, year one I think may have been like 1,500, and then year two
Yeah,
is 2 grand, maybe goes up like that. So, somewhere between like $8,000 and $10,000 over the course of 4 years, um, for the education part of it.
yeah. So about $10,000 investment.
Or about that, yeah. And then if you take it to like a prep course is about $1,000 as well. So
Okay. So you did those online prep courses to
I did,
prepare?
yeah. Yeah, they were in like a Zoom style meeting.
Okay. Those are probably very important. They give you idea what exactly the exam is going to be.
Big time.
Yeah. And how long did you have to study and prepare? Do you remember for the exam?
So I want to say it was like an 8-week course or something like that.
Okay. It's about two,
Um,
3 months preparation probably.
about that, yeah. Yeah, I would say 2 or 3 months.
In your experience, what was like the most challenging part of the whole process? If you have to start it over and you remember one thing, what was the most challenging for you?
So the most challenging thing for me personally was getting sponsored. It took me a long time to get my license. Because of that, I would ask one of my former employers, way back, oh, hey, can, we look into, getting the sponsorship going or whatever. And it'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll get to it. And then, 2 weeks goes by, and then, 6 months goes by, and so on and so on. So long story short, I actually worked for Albon, like I mentioned earlier. I'm actually classmates with him. I met him in school. So he was my classmate. So we became friends. So I've known him since 2009. And it actually came full circle, and he ended up sponsoring me and
Okay,
getting me through the process, which was, amazing. I'm forever grateful.
that's awesome. And by saying sponsoring, can you explain a little bit more what exactly does it mean sponsoring somebody to sponsor you?
So your sponsorship is basically when you're a registered apprentice, your sponsor is the master plumber is whoever you're working for. So they're basically the ones who sign off on your work experience. No, they're basically your supervisor. They sign off on you, because you need a certain amount of hours. So kind of, they sign off on that.
Yeah. So they basically help you meet the requirements to be eligible to sit for the exam. Basically, finding an employer that is willing to help you and sign off on the papers.
That's the hugest thing. Yeah,
Yes.
that is the hugest thing. Um, and it is illegal to refuse your employee that. You can't just be like, no, I don't want to do it.
Oh, okay.
You can bring them to the board and stuff like that, because that's just not how it's supposed to be. So some guys, I guess, see it as a threat or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm the type of person that I will spread the knowledge. I'll tell you everything I know, especially now, going through what I went through, having such a tough time, because I was hungry for it. I really wanted it. I really wanted to learn. Even when I was an apprentice, I was in a van pretty quickly because I
Yeah.
wanted.
That's what you wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So going through all that and having it, such a hard time doing that, and learning things and this, that, and the other. Now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I have apprentices under me, and I'm like, I don't ever want them to go through what I went through. So I'm going out of my way to show them stuff and teach them things and, kind of guide them. So it's almost like a, big bro, little bro, or, big sis, little sis type of thing, where, you just kind of take them under your wing and show them what you know.
Yeah. No, I can see how the current employer can see you as a competitor at some point. Do you know if it's possible to run a plumbing business without being a master plumber, or the only way to have your own business is to have the master plumber license?
So that's a great question. Yes and no. So in order to have a plumbing business, there needs to be a master plumber attached to it.
Okay.
So that number has to be attached to it, that name, that guy, that girl, whatever. But say you were an investor, you had a lot of money, and you want to start a plumbing business. You technically can, but you need what's called a Bonafide representative.
Okay.
And a Bonafide representative, or BFR, is just a licensed professional that is representing the company. So say I didn't have a business and some guy pulls up on a yacht and was like, "Hey, I want to start a plumbing business." Okay, let's do it. I'll be your Bonafide representative. You could do it that way. However, legally, I would have to own a minimum of 10% of the company.
The master plumber
Yes.
has
Yeah, the
to own.
Bonafide representative.
Okay. So he cannot be just an employee, he has to be part of the ownership.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's really good to know. That's a good advice. But yeah, I can see why people want to get the license, because then you have the option to go on your own.
Yeah.
Or or I mean, not everybody wants to go on their own. You
Yeah.
can still work for somebody, and I'm assuming once you get the master plumber license, you'll probably be making a lot more because you have more responsibilities, you'll be supervising people and so on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so very worth it. It's like surreal. Like when I passed, I was like, I can't believe it. Like I can't believe it. I'm a master plumber. Like I got it. I was like, I was so psyched. But
That's awesome. So you get it from the first time?
so I had to go 2 times. I got the first and second section, no problem. I got that in the high 80s. Passed those no problem. Business law, just
So business law is the one you had to go second time?
correct.
I see. Yeah. Well, I think I might be wrong, but I think you have like, is it 3 times or how many times can you?
You can go till you're 95 years old if you'd like, and have the money. Part of it too. That I forgot to mention earlier, as far as cost goes, just to take the test is like $300.
Okay. Yeah, so every time you take it, another 300, another 300.
Yeah, it goes down a little bit because it's per section. It's all added up. So if you only have to take one section, it's significantly less, but
Okay.
it still costs money.
Tell me for somebody who is just starting out, they want to get into the plumbing. You've been around for a long time. What advice would you give to someone just starting out on this path?
Patience. Be patient. Be very patient. Pay attention and stay humble. You have to have thick skin because it's very easy for somebody just to accidentally just be really irritated. That's just the world we live in as blue collar in construction. So don't take anything personally. Those guys are probably just old and miserable and hate their lives anyway. So, just let it go. And pay attention. If you just pay attention to what the experienced guys are doing, you'll quickly pick up on it because it's monkey see, monkey do,
Awesome. I have a bonus question for those watching till the end. Are you concerned about the AI taking your job? And are you also using any AI at this time?
So I'm not using any AI. I mean, besides, I use my Alexa to wake up in the morning. But for business and stuff like that, no.
No.
No. But
So you're not concerned yet.
no, I'm not concerned. And that's honestly a big topic. I mean, I would say 9.9 out of 10 houses I walk into when I'm talking to the customer at the end or the beginning or during, that question comes up. And, a lot of people are asking me more and more about, the trade school, just like, you were asking, because we're recession-proof, we're AI-proof. I mean,
Yep.
it's a very necessary job.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for all the information. I think it's been very helpful for the people watching. Tell us where can people find you or follow your work?
Mostly on Instagram. My Instagram page is @mechanicile. I do have a Facebook page attached to that, but that's pretty much just anything I upload to Instagram goes there. So
Yeah. So you're mostly active on Instagram.
mostly, yeah, mostly just my Instagram.
Okay. Yeah.
I do have a website domain for my business, but that's pretty much just for my email. I don't really have a website set up yet, but I will in the future. I'm planning on working on that.
Okay. And on Instagram, mostly like tips and tricks for like new plumbers as far as your content.
Yeah, so some of it is tips and tricks. I just posted a video a couple weeks ago, and that took off. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my God, why didn't I think of that?" type of deal. So cool. It's just a really simple trick. Other stuff is just, of me performing my work, and then a lot of my other posts are like my boiler installs and, stuff like that.
Follow Kyle on Instagram. We're going to post the link in the description to his social media to learn some more tips or tricks in the plumbing industry. Kyle will be a great resource for you. And again, thank you so much for all the information. We would love to have you again and discuss your business in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Nick.